Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another brand new episode. Today's features my buddies, the Lucky Old Sons. Had a great time catching up with them, talking about a brand new record titled WTF in the STL that they put out at the beginning of November. Take a deep dive into the record and talking about some stories and songs and recording and all that. So hope you enjoy it. Check it out wherever you get your digital music at. You'll get a sneak peek today. They got shirts and CDs available at the website and any upcoming shows. And come see them live. And if you need me, you can always find me at rockpaperpodcast.com. Hit me up on the socials. Email me, rockpaperpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. And happy holidays. Happy New Year. Hope you all have a wonderful time with friends and family. And with that out of the way, sit back, relax, enjoy a brand new episode with the Lucky Old Sons.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
Hey, we're the Lucky Old Sons, and you're listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
This is beat paper, paper covers rock. Rock beats is the Shane covers non-stop. Never know what new kind of guest that he's got coming at you. Live and direct on the spot. Could be rock, folk, country, or hip-hop, jazz. All kind of folks that he has. Could be an artist or a comedian to make you laugh on the
Rock Paper Podcast.
double-decker fudge round, rolling round town. Shane coming at you live and direct from ground zero. He's your hero, he's your bestie. Rock Paper Podcast with Shane Presley.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out today with the Lucky Old Sons. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. To be here.
This is exciting. We got a brand new record just released a little bit ago, and I thought this would be cool that we get this chance to sit down and deep dive into this record and talk all about it and get to know a little bit more about you guys. But I guess before we get going too far, everybody want to run around the mics and say hi and introduce yourselves for everybody?
Hey, I'm Matt Davis. I play piano and sing songs in Lucky Old Sons.
Bill Walters, drums, gray beard, and vocals.
Steve Bauer. I now play bass, formerly mandolin, and I do sing some songs.
Ian Bushman. I play tenor saxophone in the Lucky Old Sons and sing some background vocals behind Matt.
And some mandolin.
And a little mandolin. I plug a little mandolin here and there.
And Matt Rudolph, the newest addition to the band. I play guitar and sometimes do background vocals when the soundboard is not having problems.
All right. Yeah. That was one thing I listening to the record, hearing like the gang vocal parts and stuff. Is fun to hear everybody kind of getting a little part of the vocals and stuff. So that was a fun little addition on the record for sure. I guess being our first time really sitting down to do this for Lucky Old Sons, I'd like to kind of go back a bit. I know there's a lot of history in this project, but can we go back to the origin story of Lucky Old Sons?
Absolutely. So I guess it was about 2009, and both Steve Bauer and I were in bands that had just broken up. And so we're kind of trying to think of something to do. I was also, at the time, Frank Bauer was also in the band, Steve's cousin. In fact, I only barely knew Steve, just barely knew him at the time.
I begged my way into it.
But his band had also just broken up, and so we were all kind of flailing and trying to figure out something to do. And I had always liked all the 50s piano stuff, Jerry Lee Lewis and Fats Domino and stuff. And I also had some weird original songs. And so I got my friends together with me, and we started doing this. And not long after that, we also started our other band, All Roostered Up. So we're in the weird position of having two bands with all the same people in it. And I'm happy to say that now, again, all the same people are in All Roostered Up and Lucky Old Sons, because there have been so many weird personnel changes in between then and now that sometimes it wasn't actually two bands with the same people, but happy to say it is again now. And so it had very, very weird kind of chaotic start. And Steve?
Well, the first gig that I played with you was that winery on the other side of Illinois.
Yeah.
When I was filling in for Alvin. It was like a 3-hour drive, and nobody talked about what we were going to play. We just were going to play this gig. And I think we did mostly the 50s and 60s piano rock and roll, and I just held on for dear life, hoping that I could survive it.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that because none of us knew what we were going to play either.
Nothing much has changed.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And then since then, like I said, went through a few personnel changes, and then with Bill, how long have you been playing with us?
Officially since 2016, but I think I was subbing in 2015 or so.
Yeah.
A gig here or there.
It sounds right.
And then I guess Matt was in All Roostered Up, and then
I joined All Roostered Up in 2018, March 18th, actually.
Okay.
But
well, he just kind of joined Lucky Old Sons when we started recording the album.
Yeah,
because we had weird personnel things. Ian joined Lucky Old Sons before Matt because just like the way Steve joined the band, we showed up at a gig and we were down a member, and
somebody couldn't complete the gig.
Yeah, something. Yeah, so Ian got the call like 10 minutes before the gig and raced to the gig with us.
No, he got the call between the first and second song.
He got the text. You called him while I was.
I texted him after the first song. I was like, "Dude, please, can you come down here and do this?" And then we played a second song, and I looked at my phone, and he said, "I'm on my way." And I'm like, "Oh, thank God."
Yeah, I remember I was sitting on the couch with my dog Hooch, and I was just watching some TV, killing a little time before I was going to go practice. And Steve texted me. He said, "Hey, you want to come play a gig?" And I was like, "Oh. Yeah, I'll be down there in a
right
few.
now.
no better practice session.
All right.
I said I'll be there.
That's kind of how I got that gig with you at the winery.
That's what I'm saying. You did. You got a call at the last minute because of.
Hey, you want to play a gig? I was like, sure. When? Right now. We're on our way to pick you up. I'm like, oh,
All right.
okay.
Anybody who's been in a band long enough knows that you're never too old for band drama. Something could always happen, and I'd like to say this band is knock on wood, very drama free, but it sort of is the result of lots of band drama because crazy stuff happens, and I think it's in the best place it's been now as terms of just everything.
Yeah. What do you is there anything you guys, I mean, obviously we've had some changes and stuff over the years, like I said, but is there any tips to success, to a longevity of a band, keeping a group together this many years now? Like,
I think really it's a lot of it has to do with getting the right people that get along and communicate well so that you don't have like sort of crazy issues. I think that's one of the main things. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Leaving the egos out of it.
Sure.
The hotheads, all that stuff. Trying to remember that probably not every idea you have is a good one, so you don't get mad at the other people when they don't have a good one.
And I think that goes hand in hand with kind of what I'm thinking too, is just having a goalpost for the group. Like the album that we recorded was a big goal that we all set together. And I think whenever you tackle something head on as a unit, I think that unifies people in a strong way, and it gives them a goal to achieve together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that went really smooth in the studio.
It did.
We thought it was going to take days and days to get like the rough parts down, and it was like 4 hours later, and it was all laid down.
The rough tracks, yeah. But that said, so I keep a journal every day, and I always go back and read what happened last year. So it was about a year ago that we started recording this album, which is like how long it takes for something to go from, even though, like Steve's saying, we got the rough tracks, everything down really quickly, getting the music finished the way we wanted it, and then getting it reproduced and planning the CD release and coming up with the artwork and all that other stuff takes a surprising amount of time.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned when we were talking about the beginning of the band that we did put out a CD pretty soon after we got together in 2009 or 2010. We put out the first CD, Friendly Valley, and that went well. But then we didn't feel like the band we had after that point, a band that was really together enough, because it takes a lot of, teamwork to put out something that's good. And what I really love most about this recording this new CD was that everyone was there for every single studio session. You mentioned like that there's like weird gang vocals and inside jokes on the record and everything like that. It's because we were all there the whole time. It wasn't like, well, I'll be there to record my drums and then I'll see you at the CD release. It was like everyone came back for everything. They threw in background vocals. Everyone had ideas. Yeah. And to Steve's point about not thinking like your idea is the only way, or like that it's really great. The songs changed so much as we worked on them, as we played them out live, and then as we recorded them, that it was really cool. Just that everyone brought ideas and everyone worked together, and we changed the songs as we went. And I think for the better every time. We kind of whittled it down.
Yeah.
So it was a really enjoyable process. And we recorded it at Blue Lotus Studio, Paul Niehaus's place, which I must say was a fantastic experience. If you listen to the CD, you'll hear how you'll notice how much old music we like in the originals on there. It's kind of obvious. And Paul's got a very old school approach to recording. We all got together and played our instruments, and we did do overdubs, but it was more like vocals and background vocals and
the main
extra
tracks
parts
were all done live and together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All the rhythm tracks were for all 11 tunes on the album. It was supposed to be 12.
That's another story.
Yeah. For all the 11 tracks, it was just we knocked it out in like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
In that first session.
It was all that first day, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. We got all that, all the rhythm tracks down.
Some just one take.
But
who sent the text that night when we were all excited?
Ian.
That was Ian.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it as we were tearing down. I'm like, something
seems off,
bothering me. And I got home and I'm like, what if we forgot to record a track?
Which one was it? I don't even.
And then Ian, my phone lit up.
We just flat forgot a song to record. We were so happy with the.
We were high fiving. It was great. We're like,
it all went so well.
Then we realized we had 11 songs already, so like, well, we'll save that for the next one.
Amen.
The bonus re-release. So,
that's right.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Yeah, shout out to Paul Niehaus and Blue Lotus Studios. He's a great friend of the show and been very supportive. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'd like to mention another thing I really liked about working with Paul is that a lot of times when you record nowadays, you're renting studio space and the guy recording it is sort of just like, whatever you guys think. That's usually when how was that? Well, whatever you guys think. Paul would offer an opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is extremely helpful when you're way too close to what you're doing to have someone give you a completely outside perspective. And of course, he's got a lot of musical knowledge. And I think
we changed a couple things we had been doing on songs for a long time because he was like,
yeah.
He'd play the back, listen to that, and that don't sound right. And I was like, wow, it doesn't. I thought it did, but yeah, you're right. It does not sound. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah. So big shout out to Paul. It was a great experience, and definitely would work with him again.
Yeah. I felt way comfortable this time than on the first CD.
Yeah,
I felt like I was like reading the pages of music while we were. I think I was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was doing this time. I
think if you listen closely, you can hear me turning the pages.
Oh, right.
I got the offer to be in the band like a week before we went into the studio, and I remember I had to show up at rehearsal with nothing. And I brought my little recorder and I hit record and I tried to fake my way through the songs with you guys as we played through them. And I recorded the whole rehearsal, and then I went back that night and charted all of them out so that I would be ready to read those charts in the studio. And that's what it was. That's you're hearing me reading on the CD.
Yeah.
You can see that we're consistent in that everyone that joins a band is a total surprise. You're called on the couch.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
told a week before the recording. I think Bill got the most warning of anybody.
Well,
But
Yeah, he just got a couple warm-up shows.
There was a time when I used to be able to come down to Hammerstones and just hang out and watch you guys play and go, I get to play with these guys tomorrow morning. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it still is awesome. But
yeah.
Well, let's. So the record is WTF in the STL.
Yep.
And now readily available on your favorite digital platform of choice or CD copies.
If you're really old, yeah.
And
Have a CD player.
I saw some real big CDs. Are those
Well, made a very
limited
there's-
edition? Or?
There's a limited pressing of 5 LPs.
Yeah.
We each got one.
Very cool.
I don't expect people to be banging down the door for an LP
Right.
copy. But
Well, maybe some.
there's 5 out there.
Yeah, that's very cool though. I love that.
check eBay.
Yeah,
that's right. They're rare. They're rare.
Sell mine to the highest bidder.
Hear that? They're rare.
yeah. But check this record out. We're going to give you a little sneak peek at it on today's episode. And let's start with the title track, WTF. What do you guys want to tell me about this particular track?
Well, I think I first got the idea for the song when packing up from the Oyster Bar. I heard a couple girls talking to each other. One of them was like, WTF. And just being in St. Louis, the whole song is sort of a jokey song about something that's very true in St. Louis, which is that, as everyone that lives in St. Louis knows, it's a ton of different neighborhoods all around St. Louis. Everyone says they're from St. Louis, but we're all from different parts of around St. Louis, or we might be from St. Louis City, but it doesn't mean that you're necessarily from the city. One thing that's consistent is when people go to party, when there's a baseball game or a big band in town or some big celebration, everyone's on the Metrolink and in their cars, and they all come down to St. Louis and have a party and have a good time, and then everyone jets out to different parts of St. Louis. So I thought it was kind of funny, and I remembered for some reason the guy that parachute landed on the St. Louis Arch in the 70s, and just a bunch of other weird stuff, a bunch of other weird St. Louis stuff I wanted to talk about. All the St. Louis things, the pizza and the butter cake and the beers and going to Cardinals games and day drinking and night drinking and just partying in St. Louis, and just kind of a funny song.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a way it's a love letter to St. Louis. It's I felt like these are all a lot of my favorite things were highlighted, even if it is in a more of a joking manner. Yeah. But like I said, you check off a bunch of the things that that I think make St. Louis great, and which was a lot of fun to hear and stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Well, a parachute landed on the arch. I hitchhiked over Forest Park. I had an Nemo's pizza and a Ted Drew shake. I chased him down with some butter cake. I went day drinking at a Cardinals game. Saw a band and forgot their name. I went night drinking too, 'cause what the hell is WTF in the STL? WTF in the STL? WTF in the STL? WTF in the STL? Well, it's a slap-leaf forehand civil life, where we know how to make beer right. Then there's the one we sold to the Dutch. I drink still, but only half as much. I went day drinking at a Cardinals game. Saw a band and forgot their name. I went night drinking too, 'cause what the hell is WTF in the STL. WTF in the STL. WTF in the STL. WTF in the STL. Webster Groves. I'm out of touch, but not that far, 'cause I still get downtown in my car. I went day drinking at a Cardinals game, saw a band and forgot their name. I went night drinking too, 'cause what the hell is WTF in the STL? WTF in the STL. It's WTF in the STL. 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 WTF in the STL.
We sort of bookended the album with St. Louisian as the first track and WTF as the last track. And St. Louisian is maybe more of a serious or more autobiographical song about St. Louis, and then WTF is just sort of everything I think about of St. Louis and just kind of a fun party song.
Right.
But I wanted very much to be like just an album about St. Louis. We're all from here, and yeah,
man. We'll take a listen. Like I said, you can get CD copies at any of the upcoming shows, and we should talk about it. You guys just celebrated this record, had a big album release party at one of your favorite spots over in Soulard at Hammerstone's.
that's right.
And you'll be there every second Friday.
Second Friday of every month. Yeah, they've been very good to us, and they've had us there. I don't know how many years, but
a long time. They've been awesome to us.
Yeah, it's great to have a place. And of course, when we wanted to do the CD release, they were very accommodating and helped us out with that. So yeah, we're very grateful to the Hammerstones.
Yeah, but I was thinking about this record. I was listening to it at work the other night, and then again on the way down here, and there's just a lot I really like about. I like the sound a lot. Like again, a lot of it kind of falls into that 50s piano rock and roll stuff you mentioned earlier.
Definitely,
which was a lot of fun to hear. I mean, definitely a big part of my youth listening to KLOU and that kind of stuff. Like
bedtime oldies.
Yeah, for sure. So all these that kind of sound really. Still some of my favorite stuff. And of course, with a last name like Presley,
you're supposed to like that.
Yeah. We've got you covered.
Yeah. So, but I was really enjoying the songwriting, especially like you said it was kind of an older song, but Chicken Wing on this record. I was thinking there's not a whole lot of food songs. I was so.
Thank you. We tried to fill that gap.
Right.
Yeah.
We also have a drink song. There's beer
Yeah,
on there,
for
right?
sure.
After
It was really good with chicken wings.
Yeah, but you got of course you got Cheeseburger in Paradise.
True.
You got Eat It.
Now I'm thinking.
So, but pretty much most of Weird Al's catalog is about food, I think. But
True.
but made me laugh because I was thinking, and you mentioned cheeseburger in chicken wing also, but my buddy Josh had a joke he used to do about listening to Cheeseburger in Paradise and how Jimmy does that line where he's like, and I like mine with lettuce and tomato, Heinz 57 and French fried potato. And then he so Josh's joke is like he keeps going on longer. He's like, yeah, and I like when the pickle juice kind of gets on the fries and they get a little soggy, and it's like keeps going on and on and on, like describing it. And so that's where my mind went listening to Chicken Wing, just like thinking about some of these silly songs about
Knowing
food and
Matt, he
stuff.
could go on and on about
Oh,
some
yeah.
chicken.
I think you just gave him an idea.
Right. Yeah. But
He does talk about wiping
verse.
his mouth in the back of his sleeve.
Right.
what was some of the other, like, was it always Chicken Wing that she was hot as, or?
That was it. And once again, a lot of these songs come from spending a lot of times in bars. Like everybody
Right.
that's in bands like we do spend a lot of time in bars.
Always,
Yeah.
And sitting around and
right, what you know,
drinking and eating
Yeah.
chicken wings and whatever, and just seeing what goes on in bars.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that. And it's that's the comedy section of the album.
Sure.
That and Scarlet Fever and Beer. We have those grouped together for your listening
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yes. Scarlet Fever was really obviously a lot of fun too. A lot of just really silly and like.
That one took on a whole other meeting once COVID hit.
I know. I like to brag that we had a plague song before the recent plague.
Yeah.
This is about the old plague, not the new one.
Right.
600 years ago.
Yeah. But it was just fun to like kind of break up the record. There was a lot of variety. There was some funny, silly songs kind of like that, like we mentioned. But hearing something like what's it? Quiet
Sensitive.
Yeah,
songs.
quiet sensitive songs. Yeah, like there's such a fun misdirection on that one too. But like, it's obviously it starts just piano and like if you sound like the sensitive songwriter in the bar, and which is obviously exactly what it's supposed to be doing. But it was a lot of fun to hear you guys come into it in the second half of the song as the full band. But I think I was really impressed to hear the guitar and saxophones solos going together. That was a lot of fun to hear. So.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a full-on showdown between the guitar and the sax, and then an ill-advised everybody play at the same time section at the end, which kind of
I think that's the narrative of the boisterous give the people what they want,
go crazy.
Yeah.
So that song came from a very real place.
Yeah, I was going to ask if it's based on a true story.
Yes, it's based on a true story that pretty much anybody that's ever played originals in a bar should be able to relate to.
Mm-hmm.
We have an actual quiet, sensitive song called "Still Number One," and by the way, there's a video out there on YouTube. Please give it a look and a like, which is a quiet, sensitive song about an old singer, June Christie, that I really love. But when we play that in bars being what they are, number one, it's an original song. People don't know it. Number one, number two, it's a slow ballad. And so a lot of people are like, okay, time to chat or go to the bathroom or get a drink or whatever. And I totally understand that. But after playing that song enough, the idea came for another song about how those kind of songs don't go over that great. and actually, so at the end of it turns into, it takes a twist, and I have Steve to thank for, at band practice, I got into the end of where I thought the song was, and he goes, what we should do here is go into the the final part where all the saxophones and the guitars are playing, and so it was a lot of fun to write that one.
That song's responsible for the parental advisory sticker on the
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just part of the artwork. It's okay. Gift the album to your grandma for Christmas.
But yeah, that I imagine part of it, I guess, is like you're feeding into it at the same time as you're making fun of it. I think in a sense, you know, it's like you're saying they request a song, but then you play the song that they were
Right.
Like,
Because,
so, and then I just feel like it become where they request it even more? Like, is it, you know, it's a weird balance. Like, is it the ironic, or, you know, is it still the joke?
We should tell the listeners what actually happens in the song.
Sure.
Because we haven't exactly touched on that.
Right.
So take it away. Sorry.
So you're singing the song, like Shane says, the song starts out quiet, sensitive songs, and we're singing a kind of sweet sounding song, and it is a sweet song. But then towards the end of it, a fan in the audience starts asking for some Skynyrd instead, which that's the part that I think that everybody that's played originals in a bar can relate to, that a lot of times people are like, well, I'm in a bar, I want to hear something I want to hear. And so we eventually, the band and the song, us, break down and go into a Skynyrd jam.
Right.
And so, yeah.
And it always is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, it is.
Because the audience and the band is, at least since my joining of the group, it is largely a gigging band, and we are performers in the bar scene, in the restaurant scene, in the concert scene, in the event center scene, and people want to hear material that they know and love, of course. Yeah.
And a really good story early on with that song. A fan of the band that comes to see us all the time mentioned that she said, "My God, I went to the bathroom right when that song started. I'm so sorry." She's like, "I did it. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And the first time we played it at the bar, I got a great reaction. And on break, Ian goes, "You know, that was kind of ironic." He goes, "Actually, it wasn't ironic at all. That was exactly the way the song's supposed to go."
Right.
Because people are sort of tuned out during the slow part, and then when it gets to the, why are they going into Freebird here?
Yeah.
And then there's hooting and hollering all the way to the end.
It's interesting to see, though, that like the people that are really listening to what the band is playing at that moment, by the second line of the song, it's obvious that it's a dig at those people
Right.
that just they're there to hear only the songs that they're familiar with. And so
Yeah.
by the second line, those people that are in on the joke, they're hooked.
Right. Yeah.
And everybody else, they're not aware of what's going on until the very end of the song. It's interesting to see. It's like 20% of the people maybe are actually listening.
Yeah, you kind of watch them tune in during the song. Like,
Yeah.
I guess this isn't that.
Right.
And I think that's like, with much of the material from Lucky Old Sons, I believe that is 100% attributed to Matt's clever songwriting.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
throughout this whole album, almost every single song, save for the one, Walkin' Hooch, is original of Matt Davis. And that's one of the reasons that whenever I got that text, I was like 100% sold on performing. I don't know if that was necessarily an ask to join the band that night whenever I did show up, but from then on out, I knew that I wanted to perform with these guys. And one of the largest reasons that I love playing with this group is the original music that Matt writes, and the clever chord progressions, the clever lyrics, the storytelling he can capture in a single tune. I praise you.
That's really nice, and thank you. But I want to say, and this is true, that the cool thing to me about this band is that those songs all morph. Like I say, when I got quiet, sensitive songs to band practice, it ended after the guy requested the Skynyrd. And we kind of ended, and everyone's like, haha. And then Steve goes, you know, it might be funny. Could we like actually go into that song there?
Right.
We're like, I don't know. And we're like, what key is that? And we figure it out, and all of a sudden that song really takes on a life and makes it that way. Or people will throw in background vocals or suggest a change of parts. So it's the songs come to band practice and they come out a different way, and that's what I love about it, and especially this record because like I say, everybody was there for every single session, and the songs changed up till the point when we were completely done with them. In fact, we would have listening parties over at Steve's house after every time we'd been in the studio, and we thought we were done. And we'd all listen together, and we'd be like, well, I think we could do this or that, and we'd go back in, and it was really fun to do that.
I think we had like 4 of those, and we were only expecting to have 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each time we'd find different stuff like, let's get rid of this and add this.
Yeah. And on the last one, Steve was like, at this point, this thing is done to me. You guys can keep talking about it, but we're done with this. And Steve was like, I don't have anything to say about it. We got back in the studio. Steve's like, you know what could go in here? Yeah, okay.
Rattled off like 5 more things.
Right.
Suddenly
And
the
5
guy
more
with no
ideas in the
ideas has
studio.
all the ideas.
Right. Right. So when no one had anything more to say about it, we knew it was done. And yeah, I'm really pleased with the way the whole thing came out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, check it out on your favorite digital music platform. Grab a CD and support this project. We also have T-shirts.
That's true.
We have some T-shirts.
Yeah, we have some T-shirts.
And you can find all that information and more at Lucky Old Sons on Facebook and the official website. And so check that all out. You touched on still number 1.
Yeah.
As kind of like that, the actual quiet, sensitive song.
Yeah.
And you know, again, as a kind of the other end of this record, you know, it was fun to hear a little, you know, obviously more of a serious song. And I mean, you know, it hit me on the way. I was like, you know, getting emotional, especially the lyrics. Your LPs that you left me that I put them on. I'm gone for the day, and like, and for me, you know, I think my mom and our relationship that we had with music, like, they were a big part of why I'm into music as much as I am, and but that lyric particularly jumped out to me. Like, there's she's gone, but I have all these records that she turned me on to, and you know, the music still lives on. So there's a lot of that I felt in those lyrics. So
awesome. And I definitely I think that at least Bill and I are very much into record collecting and nostalgic, like collecting old stuff. So this song, Still Number 1, is about what would today be a very obscure singer. She was very popular in the early 50s. The singer from the Stan Kenton Big Band called June Christie, who was one of those singers that if you ever hear a singer or the first time you hear them, you just love the sound of their voice, or there's something about them that you just really want to listen to. So I bought a whole bunch of her records, and I've been into her for years. And also, so I wanted to kind of write like a kind of 50s sounding ballad about her. And I know it's kind of an obscure reference, but just wanted to write basically a love song about someone that I never met, and she was born in 1925 and died in 1990. So I would have never known her, but I only know her from I have like all her LPs at home. Mm-hmm. So I think about that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm very nostalgic in terms of just like what you're talking about. I get very nostalgic feelings, especially about music. Mm-hmm. And I have a bunch of like, records that have been passed down to me, and music that's been passed down to me. In fact, all the music the main kind of music that I really like, much of it was before my time. And so, yeah, I mean, like all of that was passed down to me, basically.
For sure. Yeah.
destroyed me the first time I heard you on the airwaves, as sweet as a bird. Oh, and now that I've found you, I've dropped other girls. June, you are still number one in my world. June, you are still number one. You took the stage with a casual smile, the voice of an angel on earth for a while. Oh, and you were the coolest, you had so much style. June, you are still number one in my world. June, you are still number one. My gal Anita, I never thought you'd beat her, but you did. And you joined the Cantones when you were only a kid. Yes, you did. I've got the LPs you left me to play, and when I listen, I'm gone for the day. Oh, and if I could see you now, what would I say? June, you are still number one in my world. June, you are still number one. Got the LPs you left me to play, and when I listen, I'm gone for the day. Oh, and if I could see you now, what would I say? June, you are still number one in my world. You are still number one in my world. June, you are still number one.
Yeah, I mean, somebody said something the other day, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty heavy." Like, but they were talking about, I guess, before their dad passed or something like that. Like, he went through his record collection and like put like Post-its on records and like left notes like of why he loves these records or what's
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
stuff like that. So that way, even though he's not there to continue to tell the stories or whatever, that they can kind of continue to enjoy them for the same reasons he loved them and stuff, or why he loved them and things.
Oh, I totally get that.
So I was like, man, that's pretty. That'll hit you right in the feels for sure. So
Yeah.
You can always tell when somebody is passionate about what they're talking about,
right,
and that is a powerful thing.
yeah, definitely. What's do you guys have a June Christie? The rest of you guys, do you have a singer that always connected with in that way, same way Matt did? Anybody come to mind?
Now, Bill's got
I have
too
I have a
many.
lot.
Yeah.
Hey, ask
I
Bill.
can't pinpoint one.
It changes every week.
Well,
What do I
yeah,
do?
I like to think about music. It's great. Even I've listened to a lot of music and been
maybe-
around a lot of people who have influenced me and hit me to different things. But I always liken it to like it makes me feel like I've been under a rock. It still can do that. As much as I've listened to music and talked to people that have listened to music, something new comes to you and you're like, whoa. And it's been in front of your face probably your whole life, but it still does that. So yeah, I have many.
Sure.
I can't pinpoint it.
Night Ranger.
Night Ranger's a good one, which they're coming to town the first Friday of December. But I think it's sold out. You got to have some connections, but
Yeah, we're gigging that night. No, I mean, much like Bill, I'm in the same boat. I have certain musicians that I have grown to love because my parents took me to concerts when I was 10, 11 years old. And my listening has just grown since then. And, there's still some of those that I revisit all the time. My first concert when I was 10 years old was Sammy Hagar. And, I've just listened more and more to his older stuff that I was just blown away by, all that stuff that they could do in the 70s with just what they had. And
Sure.
just the songwriting, it sounded so inspired. And I mean, that continued on throughout his career and all the other musicians that were around at that time and were making it big, and then, continued on to keep doing more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a different one every week, it seems like.
Yeah.
Right.
But
You got one?
Yeah, I think somebody who's always stood out in my mind, from somebody who passively listened to music to studied it, would be Ray Charles. I don't think I need to tell anybody how heavy his vocals are. And that really shifted whenever I started to actually study the saxophone, and I realized just like how his properties and his vocals could it be attributed to the saxophone as well. And that unlocked a lot of inflection in how I played and how the repertoire I played and how I thought about the horn. There's no point in Ray Charles singing where you think anything sounds thin or it sounds unfull. It's just so lush, and he's just got such a quality about his singing. And with everything, I would say the operative factor would be emotion. He's got emotion behind everything he did. And I think that's the power of vocals, is that unlike every other instrument, you have lyrics attributed to what you're doing, and you have to convey the emotion of those lyrics. And I personally think that he did that unlike anybody else that has touched me, at least.
Yeah, man. I just the other day, I was really disappointed I wasn't able to attend and witness it, but Steve Ewing did a whole night of Ray Charles with
I saw something about that.
with like a high school band backing him at the Grandel.
Oh, my
Nice.
student played in that. Yeah,
Yeah.
my student played baritone in that. Yeah.
And I was just like, man, I'd love to hear Steve sing a set of,
Yeah,
of
definitely.
Ray
Wow.
Charles tunes. Like, that would be a fun night for sure. But I was unable to attend, but that would have been a good one. So hopefully he'll do it again soon. But yeah, I thought it was cool that he's getting to perform it with the students and stuff. So like, backing them up there. So
Definitely.
And you're educating them at the same time. You're telling them about music that they necessarily, like Matt grew up with June Christie. I didn't grow up with Ray Charles necessarily, right?
Right.
So, you're showing so many ears who came before you and who set the groundwork.
Yeah, and all those kids are going to remember that. Even if they don't remember the music that they got to play, they're going to remember, hey, I got to play with Steve Ewing.
Yeah, the guy from the hot dog place.
Exactly, yeah. The Urge, who's that?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I had a similar experience with that when I was a senior in high school. It was the last semester of my time in high school, and my band director had very suddenly gotten fired, and they got Cody Henry, who I know everyone in this room, we all know. He finished out the year directing our jazz band, and he got Adam Hookey from Funky Butt Brass Band to be a guest performer on the final concert for the year. And, you know, I had seen Funky Butt maybe twice at the Midwest Mayhem events at the City Museum. And so it was a surreal experience for me to be 18 years old playing on the same stage as Adam Hookey.
Right.
And being directed by one of his bandmates. And I remember after we were done with that show that my classmates were like, do you know him already? Because like you guys definitely connected musically, and like it was apparent to everybody else in the band. I'm like, no, this is the first time we've ever played together. I never met him before. I'd seen him play,
Sure.
but so I mean that experience as well is like just that's huge to those younger players. You know, when an established musician can take that time and, you know, put themselves in that position to be just performing with those other players. I mean, that's huge.
Those guys are pretty good. Two of my favorites for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got to say one more thing about the still number one though. The video was I have a friend, Josh Reeves, who used to live here in St. Louis, and now he lives in Indiana. But he is very good. He makes videos, not like music videos, but I forget in what capacity. In his job, he makes videos for like a company or something like that. But I asked him, hey, could you put together a video for this? Because when I played the song for my wife, she said, that's nice, but most people aren't going to know who you're talking about when you say June. And sure enough, some people that have listened to lyrics like, are you talking about like June Carter Cash or something? No, but
the month of June.
Right. So, and I get that. So I thought it'd be nice to have a video where if you watched it, if you had no idea who June Christie was, you'd at least have some idea. And so I knew I didn't know how to do that at all. And I called my buddy Josh Reeves, and he made a great video where just features a lot of pictures of June Christie and different pictures of album covers and so forth. But he also took some live footage of her singing with the Stan Kenton group and synced them up to what we're playing, most notably during the sax solo. He somehow took like a fast big band number and slowed it down
awesome.
to the speed of our record so that it looks like the sax break is being taken by a couple of his saxophone players. So big thanks to Josh Reeves, and please check out the video on YouTube. We're kind of proud of that too.
Yeah. I'll link it up on my website as well.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, put it all together, but check it out. Yeah. I haven't got to watch it yet. I just learned about it myself. So I'm excited to see it.
Awesome.
But yeah, so obviously a lot of different stuff on this record, which is a lot of fun to hear. Like I said, I don't know if you guys, if there was a intentional, listing it in the particular order or not, but like it was definitely a fun ride, just going through the record from start to finish, hearing a lot of different styles coming out. Obviously it kind of all falls into what we talked about, but hearing a little bit silly, a little bit serious, getting all the different parts of what make up Lucky Old Son. So
thank you. Yeah, we did try and group some of that, like the two St. Louis songs.
Right.
Well, although there's St. Louis references in some of the other ones too. but the two specific songs about St. Louis at the front at the end, and then putting like the sort of silly songs together in a group, so it's not too schizophrenic, with like going back and forth between stuff. So we did a little bit of planning for that, and I like to play the order of it, so I'm glad that came across.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned on Country Time yet, but that was another one that kind of. This is how my brain works. I was immediately just went to thinking about you drinking Country Time lemonade.
Yes,
and like getting all like jacked up on sugar with the heart fluttering on. So like that's all that was going through my mind as I'm listening.
The alternate title when I was writing was Tennessee Pride, the sausage from the 80s. So I was having, for some reason, weird, once again, the nostalgia thing. I was having nostalgic stuff, but also just about like frustration with technology. I'm not much of a technology guy, and I've always lived in the city, but I've always liked the idea of like, oh, you live in the country and the wide open spaces and time for fishing and all that kind of. I always liked that, but not at all my background.
Right.
So
you don't know how to get there,
and I don't. Well, I probably get there by mistake. I've got terrible directions. But the Country Time Lemonade commercials and the Tennessee Pride commercials were kind of like that too.
Could have been
like
your second food
country
song.
for people that have never really been to the country. Like, come out to the great country.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got some fan questions. People wrote in, and
is that my mom?
let's see. We got how long did the record? How long does it take to record it? So we kind of addressed that. It's not. It took quite a bit to put it all together. But the record itself, I think you said a lot of it was done in pretty quickly. So
the rough tracks were done in one night, but we went back in the studio maybe 4 times after that, listening to it each time and then overdubbing and then tweaking. So I don't know, what would you say, like 3 months of sort of going, because we didn't do it we weren't in any big rush. We kind of just went in and out.
I mean, I'd say it was still more than that, because I mean, if you think about like all the time that we, it varies from each band member, but all the time that was spent listening.
Yeah, we'd take long breaks in between.
Right. All the time that was spent listening to all the recordings in various formats, whether it was on studio monitors or in your car or on headphones.
Right.
I always tried to make sure that I listened to the whole thing each time.
Yeah.
And every one of those. So, I mean, you can count man hours and do all that stuff if you want to, but that's not really necessary. I mean, at least a couple months,
right.
4 months, 5 months.
Yeah. But one thing we did not want to do, Friendly Valley, we did in, Steve, how long did that, the entire recording process take? It was like a weekend. Right. It was like cram. We recorded, and then the same day we were doing overdubs, and the next day we came in and did the final overdubs. And
it was really
rush, and that's kind of stressful. So this one, we just sort of took some time in between it, because sometimes that helps to like Matt says, to spend some time listening to it and spend some time not listening to it, and then go back and listen to it and have some new ideas about it.
I think another thing to be said would be how many times we actually played the tunes prior to recording them too on the job,
in
right?
the bar.
On the first album, we didn't get a lot of time.
Yeah,
we didn't
either.
No, we didn't. Thank you, Hammerstones.
Sounds like on that first record, you guys paved the way for King Gizzard.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time hashing those tunes out
on the stage.
Yeah, real time.
That helps.
So there was a lot of trial by fire in there as well.
Right.
And by the time we got to the recording session, I think we were all so comfortable with what was going on. It wasn't even like we were thinking about it really hard.
Except for St. Louisian, which was probably the third time we ever played it.
At least, yeah.
That kind of came out last minute.
Yeah.
We weren't even sure if it was St. Louisan or St. Louisian.
Right.
Well, it is St.
There I am, baby.
Louisian.
Yeah.
Depends where you put the dash.
If there's a fight amongst the band, that's it.
Right.
What's the official name of the song?
Goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
Frankenstein.
Yes.
Hashtag never too old for band drama.
Let's see. We got another one. I'd like to know how Bill keeps his skin looking so young and vibrant.
Elizabeth.
Do you have a
Cocoa butter.
Yeah.
Lots of it.
part of your skin regimen? Let's see. And then what makes them lucky? Do you guys?
Well,
The origins of the band name, yeah.
Origins of the band name is because, once again, a very old and obscure song, Frankie Lane's song, That Lucky Old Sun. For some reason at the time that we started this band, I was listening to some obscure... Jerry Lee Lewis is probably my favorite piano player, which shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. But listening to some of his early tracks, he had done a version of Frankie Lane's song, That Lucky Old Sun. And I just loved that whole... the concept of the song. And but as to what makes us lucky, I would say, is to be still together in a band with guys that we really get along. We spend a lot of time together. Like I say, we're in two different bands, and when we're not in our bands, we're doing stuff like this and recording and spend an awful lot of time together, but we've still been together for a long time. And yeah, that's a pretty lucky thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Having a good group of buds around to get to have fun with,
and having good people like Hammerstones and the Oyster Bar that give us weekly gigs where we play, in our bands, and yeah, a lot to be thankful for. I mean, to the theme of the record being about St. Louis, having grown up here, I sort of took for granted how much live music there is, and there's maybe less in bars and hotels and everything than when I was growing up, but there's still an awful lot. And people not from St. Louis comment about how many places there are to hear live music, and musicians comment about how many places there are to play live music and how many gigs there are. So I think St. Louis undersells its music history, whereas Memphis really makes a big deal about it, and New Orleans does too, and St. Louis does to some degree, but St. Louis, is of course very known for baseball and Budweiser beer, and rightly so. But there's been so much great music that's come out of here, and such a great music community that I feel very lucky just to be in St. Louis, where there's a lot of opportunities for a musician.
Yeah. I try and when I do the list and I see sometimes hitting like 100 things on a Saturday.
Yeah.
In the greater St. Louis area.
Yeah.
That's like a 50-mile radius around St. Louis, usually like, from whatever, St. Charles to Belleville, and that kind of thing. Like it's all the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
But to see that many different places supporting live music and, people playing music in our town and everything, it's pretty wild to look at. Like, it's I don't know. I feel like I said, we're thankful that we have it all, like having these opportunities, people that continue to employ my friends and other establishments and everything else too. So, but I'm glad that we have as many opportunities that we do have, and I wish more people got out. I think we have a lot of great music. We just don't have as many people going out to the shows to support them. So I wish more people got out more often and come out to support live original music and stuff. So
True, yeah.
But that's one thing I've been trying to preach on this show, trying to get people to, realize how good we have it here. So.
Yeah. And most appropriate for a pre-Thanksgiving show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You said Jerry Lee, is that reference in Memphis thing?
Memphis
also?
thing, yeah. Well, so I did actually move to Memphis for a while there when I was I guess I was 20 when I moved there. And that song was sort of thinking about literally driving down to Memphis and listening to tapes on my boombox in my car, because I didn't have a tape player in there, but listening to Jerry Lee Lewis. And I was always sick for the 50s music and loved Jerry Lee and Elvis and all that Memphis music. And so just thinking about driving down there, and I love to think about the connection between, St. Louis and Memphis and New Orleans, and where the music all came like up in a straight line and then on to Chicago. But fascinating to me, and the more I learned about it as I got older, because of course I love Chuck Berry and all the St. Louis music too, but to see how much all that stuff's connected. So yeah, that's very much about that.
Yeah. I grew up out in Wentzville. Still live
Near
there.
Berry Park.
And I share a property line with the home I grew up in. I shared a property line with Chuck Berry at Berry Acres.
Really?
And so yeah, we used to go fishing in his lake and stuff. So I just think for me it's growing up. I mean, obviously I was aware, but it was also like it's just I didn't really think about that there's the Godfather of rock and roll living, or owns the property next door to the house and stuff. So it was it's pretty wild as I grew up and I, started to learn, like the significance of it and stuff. But, I always, you knew, but you didn't fully grasp. But it was
Definitely.
it was pretty wild to think about. But yeah, I never got to meet him or anything, but I did have Charlie Berry III on the show, which was a cool to
Very cool.
sit and talk to him about his grandpa. And
I got to play his guitar once at the Oyster Bar,
nice.
just on a Monday night at the Blues Jam.
Yeah.
It was right after some other guy that was super hammered. He borrowed
Yelling
Charlie's
Freebird.
guitar, and I could tell
Yeah.
Charlie was like not thrilled. And a couple songs later, I got called up and I was like, "Hey man, any chance I can borrow your guitar? Like no one else here has one that's good."
Yeah.
And I said, "I promise you, I will not do what that guy did."
I'm not hammered.
But yeah, no, Charlie's awesome.
Yeah.
He's a good dude, good player.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that I think it is pretty cool to watch, like you said, kind of follow on the right up the Mississippi of the sound of the different way the music impacted each city and stuff, and how these little river towns along the way. So
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a lot of history here for sure. I wish more people, like I said, took notice to some of the history and then what's happening today. So get out and support some live music happening all around this great city. So
Definitely.
and again, you can catch Lucky Old Sons every second Friday at Hammerstones. You can catch All Roostered Up every Saturday, 12 to 3 at Broadway Oyster Bar. But yeah, I appreciate you guys spending some time with me today. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
man.
it, Shane.
Thank you.
And check out WTF in the STL wherever you get your music at, and click follow so you can get updated when we get more new music. Hopefully it's not another 15
years in
years.
between.
Yeah, I really hope not, because I'm going to be like 70. So.
But maybe that secret lost track might show up someday. Or
Yeah. Yes.
Got the 30-year blues.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks again, guys, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
man.
Bye, everyone.